So we're going to start here on the app login screen. Now, I felt that it is important to include an app login screen since we are purchasing ice cream. You're using an application that is saving credit card information, and therefore we would need to log in each time in order to securely access that information. I've seen applications like banking applications use Touch ID logins and require passwords in order to see your account information. So I wanted to add the extra layer of security for that. This Touch ID login option can be turned on once you're inside the app. To start here, we'd have the logo. We would have the main box of information on the app login screen right here with the username and password. It draws the attention right to the center. This is all going to be graphical once the high fidelity treatment is applied to it, and it's really gonna this white space, this almost void like white space in the center of this void will draw the attention to it. And then down here we have create an account. So to start going through this process, we're gonna go create an account, and here we have our little overlay screen that will appear above the main app login screen. So this darker border is actually going to be the graphical treatment of the lower screen. So this is just a smaller little pop-up that appears once you click that create an account link. We have repetition here with the text fields, and this is a fairly simple and traditional design for a create an account page. We have included in the titles of each text field, I include the little asterisk to show users that information is required in order to create an account. Since we want you to be able to log in with a username and password, there's going to be an email address, so it's going to give you similar updates and notifications that you would experience when using an app like Venmo. Anytime there's a transaction, you'll get an email, so that is required. And then credit card number, the name on the card, and expiration date. These fields will already fill up those pieces of information in your user profile once you create this account. And then there is this question mark button that will show users why we need the credit card information, so they're not confused as to why a ice cream app is asking for credit card information. So we're gonna just type in anything. So my username is gonna be John, my password is gonna be password. I will make it so that the password text field hides the letters for the high fidelity treatment. I haven't figured that out yet in my prototyping software currently, but I imagine it's there. We're just going to make an email address. We're just going to put a random number and our credit card. I put a max of 16 characters in the credit card number, so you can only type the 16 that would appear on your card. The name on the card, we'll add that. And then the expiration date, 2 digits allowed for the month and only 4 digits allowed for the year. So once we are satisfied with this account information, we would hit create. And this is where the debate came in, was to should it populate these fields right away. I say no, because it's just an added security measure, or why doesn't it bring you right to the homepage after creating an account? I still feel it's important to securely reinforce the idea that your information is protected in your username and password. So let's type in that password and username, and then we can log in. If I typed in a password that doesn't satisfy so say I forget my username and I type in something wrong. I can spell it correctly. So we have my username, but we pass in you type in a wrong password and you hit login. It'll say username and or password is not found. So there is that typical expected window that shows you that that's wrong. So let's type in password again, and then we can log in. All right, John. The way I designed the variables is that it resets once you get to the account, just to drive home all that that process. I don't think the app is actually expecting me to do that, but here we go. And login. There we go. So now we're on the home page, and this is the home page. It's got 4 main areas. We have the top navigation. We have this main area. It's got a void like piece with one strong center being that button for place an order. It's really drawing your attention there. I use boundaries really to solidify where the borders are for each section. And these may not be thin black lines. This will be some form of a light bluish color scheme, and that'll just butt up right against the white color scheme. My buttons and all of those will remain consistent. So these normal buttons, like the view button, the place an order button, they will have a consistent design. Close buttons will share a consistent design, and this way users can associate that repetition for that specific action that you're anticipating that button to do. We have the schedule right here, and then this will be a map section. So to start, we're going to go into the settings so I can highlight how the information put in on the create account already fills in that information on the user profile. So we click on settings, and I just did generic buttons at the top. Here I've seen a lot of apps use like a common global navigation at the top of their app. I employ that here with the Your Orders app logo and settings being on every traditional screen that is not a pop-up or overlay. So here we have this app settings. There's good repetition here. It just gets people comfortable with how information is going to be sized and presented. I have currently, these are radio buttons. However, these will become those iPhone and Apple sliders where you press them and they turn green. I will give them that treatment when we add the high fidelity graphics. But for now, view this radio button as a slider. I completely agree with the feedback that radio buttons give people the subliminal idea that you can only pick one of these options. As you can see, that's not the case. You can choose which ones you want and which ones you don't want on. So those will become sliders once I start building those in the high fidelity graphical view. This is also where you would turn on that enable touch ID right here. So fairly traditional app settings, and then we have the user profile. I wanted to keep those separate because this way you know that here in the app settings we're just adjusting how the app's going to function, whether it's going to send you alerts, whether you can do the one-touch reorder. And then for the user profile, I wanted to keep that on its own page. That's a typical thing seen in most social media sites that I've noticed, and I want to keep that consistently with this style of application. So we can hit view, and once this pops up, it's taking a little bit because it's reading those variables. Now all of those little bits of information have already populated, so it's got my username, the name on the card number, the expiration date. These are external links to Venmo and PayPal, which can also be used as payment methods. And then we have room for a little profile picture and a location and area, which we can assign here. I've repeated essentially the same thing when creating an account down here on Edit Profile. So it's a similar pop-up. However, the information is changed. You can change your password. You can change your location and area. So this is another option when we're talking about an application being scalable. Notice I have this drop-down where this ice cream company is only operating in these 6 towns. Well, you can add different locations and areas. This is one way of it being scalable. I can say, okay, I'm in Wallingford now, but if I move and this company decides we're going to start offering our services out in Hartford, I can then, pick that Hartford's location or area that I'm in. So that is an option. And that will adjust when we talk about the truck schedules and that side of things. You can change your credit card number, you can change the name on the card, expiration date, and you can do the profile picture. So we'd be able to upload a profile picture. And then you hit save. And then any information that we've changed reflects that here in the app settings, or in the user profile. So we're going to go back to our home page, which will be our app logo. It's right in the middle. It's a traditional little, like you can expect when you click on Facebook's icon, it's going to bring you back to the Facebook homepage. Our little ice cream app icon will bring us back to the home page. And then we're going to place an order. Have these 2 big voids, which will be graphically treated similarly to the rest of it. They will have a definitive border between the 2. I haven't decided what color scheme that's going to be. But then we have this same buttons. This is where the close button. This will have a different treatment from the rest of them, so we can identify that this is a close button. It's going to close out this window. So let's place an order. And this brings us to our build and order overlay. And instead of the older setup I had where you would pick the amount of ice cream and the flavor and the size, I didn't account for the possibility that people may want to order different things in there. I was building the previous version of this app just to batch order almost. So instead, now we have this build and order page where instead of being built vertically where all the options are listed vertically, you can build your order across horizontally. So you can select whether you want a cup or a cone, you can select the size, and you can select the flavor. And this is also, these drop downs allow the company to, again, be scalable, and you can add, different vessels. Like if you wanted cup, cone, or like say a, waffle cone bowl, you can then add that as a option. Or if you wanted to add an extra large or change the price, the company would be able to come in and edit these, scale them up, scale them down, and really build out their app the way they want. And then flavor the same way they can add to this option. They can remove options. So the way this is set up is we can select a cup. The prices are linked to the size. So once we click on the price and then click off of it, it will update the price down here in real time. And then we select our flavor. This plus sign will add a second section of this build ice cream order kind of ticket that we're working on. So when we click that, it's going to provide us the exact same thing as above, where we can now build a second ice cream and add that to our order. And I didn't feel the need to add that in text form because users are comfortable with just seeing the plus sign and knowing that you're adding something. You are adding something, and it's in a space that is the same dimensions as the order area where you are currently working in. So I see this blank space below here. It's got a plus sign. I see the size that's repetitive, and so I'm assuming that when I click this, I will see all this information appear again. So let's add the size, and now we can see, since we add the size, so we have $3, $2, now it's up to $5, so that works. But say you want to remove this, say you only want the one ice cream, we can individually delete options, and that will reset the size back. We can also just reset the whole order from down here too. So I felt having the ability, and I agree with the feedback, that instead of going back and resetting each thing individually, it is necessary to be able to just remove an order right from here, and that I also wanted to provide the option for users to reset the entire order with one click of the button. So if I wanted to just be fine with this order right here, I'll hit next. However, it'll bring up an error box saying it needs to select a valid option. That message will also appear if you have a ice cream order thing that's not built out just yet. If it still says select one, it'll say, I don't know what you want me to order, please add valid options there. So let's select, credit card, and we can then hit next. That brings us to a confirmation order. This isn't going to fill out with the information, but it's more designed to show the client and the users how it's going to be presented. And I use and repeat the same verbiage, so cup, cone, size, flavor, it's in the same order as the screen before it, and this way we'll associate that stuff there. There's borders between the two, so it separates the information, and we'll give the graphical treatment. So it's going to be a large confirm order, so we know that right here we are confirming the order, and that's where the button says confirm, that we are placing the order. You can also close out of this process at any time. So this close button is consistent on all of the screens. Once we confirm it, however, that close button goes away and it gives you the receipt. So it fills out with all of that information. So that kind of information architecture shows that when it said confirm, that is us physically placing the order. And that's why the close button goes away. There's no more back button anymore. We can just go to your orders where that order will exist. Or we could go back to the home page. This QR code you can click on, and this is what you would show at the truck. And just the sight of QR codes, people are used to scanning. Same thing, the design methodology behind using the QR codes in the receipt is similar to a airplane boarding pass, where it's got the information at the top. It's got the information up at the top. So imagine, flight number, all that stuff, gate, terminal information, and then there's that QR code that you would scan at the gate. We are treating our ice cream order like a boarding pass. So this is what you would show at the truck to confirm your order. So from here, we can go to home or your orders. For the time being, let's go home. And all the buttons down there are consistently sized. They're in the same place. In this way, the user will be able to know what exactly they're doing when they click that button. So let's go to your orders and see what all that looks like. So here we have our orders, and it's similarly set up to one of those confirm orders and receipts thing. It's just going to be a list of previous orders. It's going to clearly define what the payment method was, when you ordered it, how many items, and then as you can see, you've got the size, the vessel, and the flavor. From there, you can go to view, and you can view individual orders. And notice I've used similar things. We have the graphic at the top, and then we have very repetitive designs, so it's keeping things consistent. In this way, we can get used to, or users can get used to how it's laid out, and then, they can quickly scan for the information that they need. So here is the information on an individual order. This shows the information right at the top, and it's in its own little box here. So that will get a graphical treatment. It's repetitive from the previous screen in the way it's all laid out. The font on certain items is bigger to draw attention to them. But then as we scroll down, these little options are going to be in boxes similar to the settings menu, where they are going to show that these are options that we can do within the app. So this says right in big bold letters, show QR code at the truck to receive the order. And you can again click on this QR code. You would get a similar scan me thing, like we said, our ice cream boarding pass per se. And right here where it says one touch reorder, that would be a option where you can just simply click on here again. It says order again. So this is our order up here, and we want to order again. We click order again, and then it comes to a confirmation of the reorder, and it fills out all of that information again. So it's identical to a previous receipt. The only change is the information up here where it says confirm the reorder. And I specifically put these big bold text, textual elements up here, and kept the button language simple where it says confirm. This way when we press that, as opposed to it just saying next and we have no idea what's going to happen, it says confirm, and we know that when I hit this, I'm confirming this reorder. So it's that kind of thought process I went to how I designed it for the user, and really tried to, through the language I put on the buttons, spell out exactly what they're doing when they click it. Because we don't want to confuse people when it comes to anything that involves them spending money. Because the last thing we want them to do is unknowingly confirm an order and then cause a ruckus because they didn't mean to purchase it or whatnot. When you hit this, it says confirm order. Instead of just allowing this order again to bring you right to a receipt, I purposely, when you click it, I want you to confirm that you want to reorder it. So when we confirm here, we get the exact same receipt. It's our boarding pass again. We can go back to your orders or to the home page. So that's the thought process behind the purchasing function and the building of the ice cream function in this app. It is laid out to the point where the user almost has it spelled out for them. They can safely assume that our plus sign in the home or in the build your own ice cream order is going to add another thing. Any assumptions that are needed to be made by the user, I'm made in a way where they are safe assumptions for the user. We don't want them to assume things that are risky or whatnot. We want them to make safe assumptions about how the app works, or we spell it out verbatim. Like, look at this button, place an order. We're spelling that out for them. So when it comes to the truck schedule, this is where that location area is going to come into play. And the truck schedule will have a design similar to the rest of the options and functions in the app, but I wanted to keep consistent a specific look for each kind of different function, so they're separate functions. Like the Your Orders menu has its options. Your Orders function has its particular look. The schedule, it's going to have similar functionality, but it's going to have a unique look, but that's repetitive, and then we'll start to associate that with the schedule. From here, we can view the routes for the day. As you can see, this location area, that'll be all depending on that'll fill out per the setting that you have in your user profile. So it'll say Wallingford, and then it'll reflect how many routes are currently going on in your area. So we can view our routes, and then similarly, we have the calendar kind of icon that will appear there, keeping it consistent. We're associating it with the previous screen where we selected June 8. We'll have the truck icons, and then from there, again, big buttons. This now says truck schedule as opposed to the larger schedule of the day. So in a truck schedule, we get a pop-up that lists its stop names. So it's, again, a similar style, have the graphics. It's all repetitive. We know that important information is held in these lighter boxes. At this point, we are inside the truck information, so it's not as important. We could put it up here, the fun graphical treatment. And then we also have a map option. So the map will bring us to where this truck is located. So we click map. And then the map is going to be designed similarly to a Google Maps style. So here we have a map. This entire large void-like gray area will have the map graphic similar to Google Maps or MapQuest. And the contrast here will be with the stops and the truck location. Again, we have a button here that is clearly defined. It's an options button, and that when you click on it will open up a settings menu. Again, these radio buttons will be replaced with a slider like you'd expect from an iPhone. So it will share the same design as the settings menu. So subconsciously the user knows that we can turn all of these on or we can have none of these on. And to show, we can show stop locations. So that is really the thought process behind designing this application. My design decision making was keeping it clean, not over cluttering it with information, making the icons and the buttons and the placement make sense, as opposed to really needing to use fine print and spelling something out. I tried to really make the app work with the user as opposed to, be clunky and work against the user. Based on what I've delivered so far, that this is the best user experience that I can come up with. I tried to really just make every process simple and spelled out, and give the user the chance to always back out of something before they ended up purchasing it, and really try and help the user out if they make a mistake, giving them a reset button, and also trying to secure their information through the login for info. So that is my thought process. I hope I went into enough detail on it. It's really, I tried to be simple. I tried to really think things out where I placed things, and tried to have, especially this prototyping software, I tried to have the prototyping software really assist me with showing how information related to each other. And so that is all for now. I will be tweaking it a little bit as I move forward, but I'm looking forward to the chance to finally add some color to this. I think it's solid so far, but a splash of color will really round out this app, and it's got some solid bones otherwise, in my opinion. So thank you for your time, and have a nice day.